Well, good afternoon everyone. Welcome back to the Life's Good Easter Monday. And what a contrast to the weather early in the weekend. It was really lovely and warm on Saturday, but yesterday it went a bit cooler, and today is quite overcast and quite chilly. I'm just peeping in the greenhouse now, and I can tell you that it's currently 12 degrees in the greenhouse, but it got down to 5 last night. No heating on. I haven't put on the paraffin heater or the electric heater. Well, that gives you some indication of the contrast in temperatures, because it was up into the 20s in there on Saturday. Well, we've got a few things to catch up with. As you know, we're both working flat out. We've got today off, and Cheryl's helping me with a few chores out here, and we're going to try and sow a few things. Now, Cheryl's currently filling in the gaps with the peas. Remember I showed you we had a few gaps in our trays. If I just whiz you around, I'll show you what Cheryl's doing to fill in those gaps. Well, you can see Cheryl's found a convenient spot on the back end of the chicken coop. And what she's doing here is, where there's a gap in the tray, she's making a small hole with a dibber and popping in a solitary pea from the latest packet of peas. Now, I have to admit that when I sowed these originally, I did have some old seed left over from last year, and although that was still in date, I think the old seed is the ones that have failed to germinate this year. We do have a few small ones over the back there that are coming through, a bit slow to germinate, but there's quite a few gaps, and as you can see, Cheryl's quite quickly and quite easily filling those gaps in those trays, so we hope that they will catch up. Plants do that. If you sow some early and some late, they will all catch up. So later in the year, hopefully these peas will all be maturing more or less at the same time. But we'll keep you posted on those. A few other things to do today. Well done, Cheryl. You know, happy in your work there?
Yes.
Well done.
I'm cold.
You're cold? It's rather chilly today, I must admit. Right, looking out here, I had to put the mesh over the shallots. I showed you that the other day, and nothing showing on the carrots yet, but I wouldn't expect to see that just yet. We did have a little mishap the other day when Daisy was out and about, and she managed to get down here and have a scratch around on here, so my rows of carrots might just be loosely broadcast from now on. I don't know, we'll see what happens there. But what I'm going to do, the last row of carrots, if you can see this, guys, there's a stick on the end there. These last sticks, the one right on that corner, you can almost just about see it there. I'll just move you in. There's a little stick there. That indicates the last row of carrots. That's my autumn king carrot growing here. So between this row and over here, where I've sown my broad beans, is the area that I intend to put my parsnips. So what we'll do, Cheryl might give me a hand, we'll get set up and show you what we do with our parsnip seed. Right guys, well, I got my marker cane here, and I want to take these about 10 inches away from the last row of carrots. So the carrot row is approximately here. It's got a stick mark in the end, so I've set the cane up about 10 inches away, and all I'm going to do is use it as a guide and scratch a small drill across here, and doesn't need to be very deep. You only need to cover it with a centimetre or so of soil, but that should be sufficient. Cheryl's on the other side there. She's going to pop a little stick in to mark the where the row's going, so we can see now that's where the actual row of parsnips is going to be. I will probably put a little marker there to say that it is parsnips and nothing else. Now, if I can show you these seeds, guys, I'm just going to put those out there on my hand so you can see these. I don't know if you can see those all right, but they're little flat, very light, papery seeds, these. And each one of those will produce a parsnip, or at least that's the idea. You can just scatter them and then thin them later. I tend to be a bit more picky with mine and try and plant them a couple of inches apart or so. I just leave a gap between them. If they are a bit crowded, you can always thin them at some point. But I'm just sewing those in really thinly. I put 4 together there. I don't really want that. We're just doing a cross there Now I can't reach any further than halfway. I expect Cheryl can probably reach the other end of the row. So between us, if I pass the seed over, there you go, darling. So you just spread them out in there, and once you've sown the seed in, it's just a case of scratching the soil back over the top, guys. Any of these big lumps, I try and break these up. You want the soil to be fairly soft. But if there's no rain about, if we're not due any rain, I will come out with the watering can and throw some water on these sometimes, just to make sure they're moistened, give them a chance of a start. And in terms of spacing the rows, it's usually about the same as I've done from the carrots, about 8 to 10 inches. So something like that, about the size of your boot maybe. I did use my finger to thumb spacing on my shallots. That's probably about the right amount. I don't know if you can see that all right, guys, but from my little finger to my thumb is around about 8 inches. So that again would be another row of these. And if I just scratch across here, anything to mark the line really, any stick, cane, your dibber, even your finger, you just run your finger through if the soil is light enough. Just make a little drill, and again we'll just sow the seed thinly in there. Ideally you want one parsnip every couple of inches, I would guess. They're not all going to germinate, we've had that experience before, but just to get a reasonable row of parsnip here, I would imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll get 5 rows, maybe 6 rows in here before we start encroaching on the area where the broad beans are. So thanks, darling. So looks like we've just about emptied that small. That was the remains of last year's packet, guys, just to let you know what was going on there. The growing season on the, the validity of these seeds is actually up until next year, so I'm hoping that these grow okay. Cheryl's got the newest packet over there, so in order to do the other rows we will need to open those. So if we remember, the first 2 rows here were the old seed, and the other rows is going to be the newer seed. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what the success rate is on the older seed compared to the new. So again, we'll move the stick over. Now what I'll lift you down a bit closer so you can see what we're doing in terms of the seed going into the ground, guys. Right, there you go, guys. You can see now, just using I just got a little metal stick here, little metal rod I'm using to scratch a drill in here. This soil's quite fine, guys. It's quite good. It's not been dug for, I don't know, probably at least 2 years now, possibly 3. Right, so we now have that. Cheryl passes me the seed, thank you. Again, you can see the seed. Now these ones, this particular variety, are referred to as hollow crown. That was the variety I purchased, and if I remember rightly, I purchased these from Wilkinson's. They weren't very expensive, about £1 for a packet, and you get hundreds of seeds in these packets, guys. It's unbelievable. And you can see the parsnip seed there. It's a little flat papery one. I'll pass the packet back to Cheryl, and I can show you that I just pop these in the drill fairly thinly. I don't want them thick. Now you see I've got 3 or 4 together. I'll just split them up. It seems a bit of a faff on, guys, but I've never had a problem doing it this way, and it affords a gap between each one. Otherwise they do get a bit crowded, and I do find that they're not as big if they're all crowded together. If I just finish those ones there. Do you have the seeds there, Cheryl?
Yes.
Can you finish off that row for me?
Yes.
So as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the sort of spacing you want when putting these in, guys. Now parsnips enjoy a really long growing season, so they'll be sitting in here right up now until Christmas and beyond. We will be using these at Christmas time. We'll probably start using these from the end of November, I would imagine. November-ish they should be ready, maybe even the end of October. But predominantly parsnip is a midwinter vegetable. They will be in the ground here to be used right through until probably February, I would imagine. What we tend to do is the last of the crop, early spring or January, February time, we will lift those and prepare them for the freezer. So we then end up with parsnips in the freezer that we can use later in the spring, going into the summer, for our roast dinners. Well, another thing I wanted to do today was to plant my garlic, and I'll take you across to the area just in front of the rhubarb and show you what I'm doing there. Well, I don't mind telling you guys, it's pretty damn chilly out here today. Cheryl's gone on in now, she's got a few things to do indoors, and she was feeling the cold. So I'm just going to carry on now and do one more thing before I go in. And the thing I wanted to do was to plant my garlic. I bought 3 cloves of garlic, and this is they. That is a whole garlic bulb. They come like this, and when you plant them, you don't plant this whole thing, you split them. And if I just split that apart now, you can see that's just dropped it. That's an individual clove, and if you look very carefully on here, it's actually sprouting at the top there. So that is a good time now to pop these in the ground. I notice all of these are starting to split, so you quickly split off all the individual cloves. Doesn't matter about the outer skins, they'll blow about, disappear. But you take it off of the central bit, go in the compost or wherever. Now, having got the individual cloves, you now need to sow these each in its own hole. So there's my, what have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 cloves of garlic there. They will produce 9 more garlic bulbs, and each with their own selection of cloves. So that's quite a good return, I think. If we look back here now, these are my last shallots here. There's a gap there, I notice. Oh no, he's underneath. Just make him out there. I pushed that one in a bit deep, but he's there. So there's the last of my shallots. Now I want to give, I was going to say a bit more than 8 inches. Maybe that's a bit too far. Up to the shank there on the dibber, about a foot away now, start planting my garlic. And all I do is make a little hole, a bit deeper than that. You want a couple of inch hole, guys. What does it say on the packet? You see, if you look on the packet, it gives you the growing guide. These want to be about 10 centimeters in depth, according to this. Probably not that far. What are they showing me? There's a little chart here. It says about 5 to 6 centimeters, so yeah, a couple of inches in there, guys. And I plant it. That's the base, and the pointed bit is where the shoot's going to come out. So you want to plant it the right way up. Just pop it in the ground and backfill it, and it's as simple as that, guys. So you want to go about the same distance apart. Now I'm using from the metal handle to the tip there. That's probably about 10 inches, I would say, from the one to the other. Make a hole, I said a couple of inches down, and push the clove down in, point up most. And It's as simple as that, guys. So you just pop a clove in each hole with the pointed section facing up, and that's your garlic. That's backfilled itself there. That's no good. It's a bit too shallow. Sometimes I just put my hand with the clove down the side of the dibber and push it in as the soil's going in, just like that. So it's in a couple of inches. And then you want to come apart there to there. Another one in there. It's quite straightforward, quite simple, guys. Let me see, what are we talking about in terms of growing season? They claim, trying to not get in your way there, guys. According to this, they claim that you plant between February and May and you harvest from June onwards. So they should be quite a quick grower. I don't know. I've never grown this variety before. It's called Casablanca. I have grown garlic that we bought from a supermarket. And what I found was, although it did grow and it produced garlic, the bulbs weren't very big. So I've decided this year, I've splashed out on a few bulbs. I paid £2 for 3 garlic bulbs here. So I don't think that's too bad. £2, and I've got myself a small crop of garlic here that we can string together, hang in the shed, and have garlic throughout the rest of the season to use in the kitchen. There's nothing nicer than your own homegrown garlic. What we had last year, we still have some left over hanging in the shed in a small string there. I'm not sure how many cloves are left in there, still quite a few, guys. But it's as simple as that to plant them out. Let's get the other clove here. There's 2. As I said, there's a loose one there, so we'll pop him in the ground just there. Stick him in. There you go. Simple as that. I'm using a dibber so I know where I've put the last one in, and just keep taking them apart, putting them in the ground. They won't take long to show through. They should. These have all started to show shoots in the top, as I showed you. They've got the green shoots coming out the top now. I just pull that apart. You should be able to see. I can't see any green ones in here yet. Oh yes. See, these are really ready to go. See that one, guys? Just got that green tip coming out there. That's perfect. So again, plant that one in there. There we go. Simple operation. If you like garlic, for a couple of quid, I've probably got nearly 30 garlic bulbs here, guys. So that should give us a, whoops, he's upside down. That's no good. I saw him twist as he went. I can't get him out now, guys. Disaster. Right, pointed side up, flat bit down. He turned over as he went in. That's no good to me. Right, here we go. Pop him in there. Perfect. One down the end. Just go. Just keep going until you've planted all that you need to. It's not rocket science. It's easy. They're a bit firm to take apart sometimes, guys. But there we go. Done it now. Pop that in there. Another one there. The soil's quite good. Now if you remember, this area here was big lumps of clay, guys. It was awful. I really struggled up this end of the garden. As I said before, it hadn't had a lot of special treatment. There were things on here that were here permanently, which I'd removed. But I emptied the compost bin, And if you remember also, I took the soil out of the chicken's run and spread on here as well. There's a few lumps and bumps here. So I took away all the large lumps of clay. I put all that back in the chicken run. The soil from the chicken run went on here, as did the contents of my compost bin. And this soil now appears to be quite good for growing in. Now, I know the sun's not out today, but do you know what, guys? This soil feels quite warm. It's quite remarkable. So hopefully that will help these cloves of garlic to germinate and grow quite quickly. So as my garlic going in, I'll find some little marker labels to indicate that I've got garlic in here, and that'll be another job done. Well, that's about it for today, guys. We've sown some parsnip and I've planted my garlic, so looking forward to those cropping later in the year. As I said, the parsnip requires a long growing season, so that won't be ready until getting into the winter. The garlic, however, supposedly will be ready June, July time, so we'll see what happens there. Everything else is coming on well. I've sown some more mustard and cress in the greenhouse, as the ones I did just over a week ago are now in the kitchen, and we've already started using those, as we have with a tub of the pea shoots. I put 3 tubs of pea shoots in. One of those has now gone in the kitchen, so we're already using that. And we've got lots of other stuff coming on in the greenhouse, ready to come out here. My new plot is sitting there now, settling down, ready. I think I've decided that that's where I'll be growing my lettuce, spring onion and radish. Although I did think I might put some radishes out here in between some of the other crops. The parsnip, for example, it's a long growing season. In between those rows indicated by the sticks at the end, I could possibly put some radishes in there, and they will crop and be gone a long time before the parsnips are being interfered with. So that's a way of, again, catch cropping, as they call it, getting more than one crop from one section of soil. Well, guys, that's it for today. It is a bit chilly out here. I'm just going to finish off a few odds and ends, and I'll be going in and having a look to see what we're having for our supper tonight. Well, thanks for popping in. It's been lovely seeing you again. Whatever you're doing, you stay safe, you be happy. Don't forget to subscribe. Come back and see us soon. Bye bye now.